G'day, just a self-indulgent video, but if you're watching, this is interesting. I felt that Melbourne, where I live in Australia, had a particularly heavy rainfall in 2020, except through winter, which was quite dry, but still I thought, it's probably pushing the wet records because in summer, autumn, spring, it was quite wet. So I went and looked at this weather, weather station in my area of town, Scoresby, about 25 kilometres out from the Melbourne CBD, and sure enough, it was a pretty darn wet year. We got over a metre of rain in 2020, and that beats this year here, which I want to pinpoint as a reference, 1978, which got 1,029 millimetres of rain. Now the reason why I do that is because the CBD, or Botanical Gardens, which are in the CBD, or near to it, recorded 1978 as a record year, 930 millimetres. There it is. So kind of goes to show that weather stations vary a lot. To do a proper analysis of how much rain fell, you'd have to go and add up all of the weather stations together and work out the square kilometres of each weather station in proximity to other weather stations and try and estimate how many megalitres of water actually fell in a particular period in a particular district and draw up charts and there's a lot of work. And there's none of that information and data out there, so you can cherry pick whatever weather station you want, and I could say, well, it was an unprecedented year of rainfall here in Scoresby. Meanwhile, it was just a good one in Melbourne CBD, just 25 kilometres away. So this opens up the climate data for what's called data dredging, where you can manipulate figures to produce any outcome you want to get a record high temperature, record high whatever, or low rainfall, drought, whatever, just cherry pick your weather station. So it's not really relative. And on that note, I thought, what about bushfires? Because I've got this theory that logging has a lot to do with bushfires. Why? Because you remove a mature, very thick log, more sparsely positioned, because the bigger the trees get, the more sparsely they're spread out, because they're just bigger, they take up more room, and they've got under canopies, and they've got, because they're so tall, and they've got tree ferns underneath, not scrap, not rubbish, not build up of fire-prone debris. So when you log it, that's got to start again. And you end up with a lot of very thin, tall trees, closely clustered together, high surface area to volume ratio, and no undergrowth of tree ferns or anything to absorb and decompose the litter. So prone to fire. And so I thought, does logging, do the big bushfires follow the logging practices in Victoria? And I know that this area here, Eastern Victoria, got logged to shit in the later half of the 20th century, really, from about 1980 onwards. There was a lot of greenies protesting. I remember when I was a kid. So that area got absolutely destroyed. And that reason why that area got destroyed compared to earlier in the 20th century, 1939, here's a bushfire map there, is because it was just so remote, right? Look at these little pockets of bushfire that never really took off, right? This is 1939. That area got logged to shit, the massive bushfire of 1939. And here we have 2020, a big bushfire, because the forest is fucked, right? That's why. So if you do more, not only data on climate, but also bushfires, you'll find that bushfires correlate with logging. Pretty good at picking up on observations, especially in my local area, because I know what's going on historically in my neighbourhood. So the other thing about logging is if you destroy a forest, there's no sponge effect. So if it rains, you get flood, and of course all the water's gone. So a few months later, you could be in drought. So you get droughts and floods. So then the climate change people come out and go, oh, climate change. No, it's buttfuckery of the forest. Got nothing to do with CO2. So I'll just finish my little self-gratifying rant with that. But yeah, it's really good to just go on a bit of a binge of, your own research to see who is full of shit and how things can be manipulated and what is the real cause of whatever. Good look around and probably do it in your local area. You'll probably find that, you can read between the lines better. So I'll finish with that.